Hello everyone, this is Koba Sensei from ITeens Lab. This video is the third installment in our video course explaining how to use Unity, a software for creating 3D and 2D games. And finally, in this session, I'd like to actually try writing some code. You know, with Unity, a lot of people who find it difficult tend to get stuck at the coding part. In fact, I think many of you watching this video are most interested in learning about the coding aspect. I understand that it might feel difficult at first, but with this video, we're going to approach this as if it's for our own use, so we'll start with the simplest things. Once you get used to it, it really doesn't feel that difficult anymore, so the key to coding is just getting comfortable with it. So, don't let yourself get lazy. Let's watch this video together and write code along with me. The more you write, the more you'll get used to it, so let's just focus on getting comfortable. Alright, let's get started. This time, I'd like to actually try typing out some code together. Alright, first, let's start by launching Unity Hub. We're going to create a new project, but in my case, as you can see, I have several versions installed. Last time, I mentioned that Unity Hub is software used to manage different versions of Unity. If you look at the install section, you'll see that I currently have 3 versions of Unity installed, and I have it set up so I can use any of these 3. Alright, so when you create a new project from the Projects tab, you can choose which version you want to use, just like this. You can do it from here as well, but I'm going to go ahead and create a new project from over here. When you do that, you'll see a screen like this. Now, you'll need to give your new project a name. What should I call it? Alright, so how about naming it Lesson 2? I think I'll go with that. Okay, now let's go ahead and create it. Alright, now the Unity editor has launched. So, let's actually try writing some code in Unity. First, in the hierarchy window, let's right-click in the hierarchy window, select 3D object, and, well, it can be anything, but for now, let's go with a cube. We'll create a cube. Okay. Yes, and then in this project window, right-click on this empty space here. Then go to Create, yes, Create, and select C# script. This is how you create a script. At this point, you need to give your C# script a name. Please make sure to always enter the C# script name using half-width, single byte, characters. So, what should we name the script? Well, for now, let's just call it test. Okay, now the C# script has been created. Next, double-click on it here. Alright, when you do that, Visual Studio will launch. Alright, so now I'd like to actually type in some code. You should see a section that says void start. Yes, and you'll notice these curly brackets here and here. In between them, around here, please try writing the following: debug, log, and then cool. Then type test. And here, don't forget the semicolon. Yes, a semicolon. Please enter it just like this. Now, when you're writing code, it's really important to make sure you type everything exactly as shown, without a single mistake. Also, basically, you should write everything in half-width alphanumeric characters. However, these marks here are called double quotation marks. These little marks, yes, double quotation marks. As for the parts enclosed in double quotation marks, well, it's actually okay to use Japanese there. As for that part, I'd like to explain it in more detail in the upcoming videos. For now, since this is just the beginning, please try copying this exactly as it is without thinking too much about it. Once you've done that, go ahead and save it. If you're on Windows, press Ctrl and S at the same time. If you're on a Mac, it's Command and S. Or, you can also save it from the File menu. That works too. Alright. Once you've saved, let's go back to the Unity screen. Alright. Now, this test C# script is the one we just wrote earlier. Yes, it's saved here. Now, drag and drop this onto the cube, the object we created at the beginning. Drag and drop it right onto this. When you do this, you'll notice the pointer changes shape. When it changes, that's when you let go. Alright, and with that, the C# script called test is now attached to the cube. This process is called attaching. So, we're attaching the test C# script to the cube. Visually, nothing has really changed, but if you click on the cube, yes, just like this, then in the inspector for this cube, here, this one. 2, like this, all sorts of information are attached. And that information is shown here. Yes. And at the very bottom, the newest addition here is the test script. In other words, by attaching this test script to the cube, it's now registered as part of the information inside the cube. This is what it means to have attached it. Yes. So, as you can see, the C# script is right here. Basically, scripts won't run unless you attach them to some object in the hierarchy window here in the scene. So, whenever you write a program, make sure you don't forget to attach it to an object. And then, when you actually want to run the program, you'll use the play button up here. Yes, so let's go ahead and press the play button. You'll notice the color changes a bit. Yes, and the screen changes as well. If you press the play button again, it will stop. Now, when you play it, if you click on the console area, the console window, right here, you'll see that it says test here. Yes. Let's stop it here for a moment. Okay. So, what exactly is this console? At first, you don't need to worry too much about the details, but when you're writing programs, basically, what you write in the program works like this. The contents become hidden, and once everything is bundled together, when the game is actually running, you really have no idea what kind of program is operating behind the scenes. So, this feature here is designed to let you see what's inside the program. And this debug log is a command that tells the console screen to display the word test. Right here. Here, I wrote a command to display the word test on the console. So, when I executed it, the word test appeared in this console window. Alright. Next, let's try changing the text that appears here a little bit. Yes, so here, inside these double quotation marks where it says test, you can change the content to whatever you like. Feel free to rewrite it however you want. For example, let's see, what could it be? Cooked rice. You can change it to something like that, and save it for now. If you want it again. Yes, it looks like this. What appears on the console screen changes to rice or whatever text you entered. Now, for example, if you copy this and make it 2 lines, and below I want to eat. If you save it like this, it'll look like this. So, when you have 2 lines, it means you've executed the command to display on the console screen twice. In this way, you can use debug logs. Even with just this one command, you can rewrite it in various ways, so if you like, try changing it up and playing around with it. Now, for this session, there are a few things you need to be careful about when writing code. I'd like to talk about those things in advance. Okay, let me quickly write down some important points to keep in mind. First of all, the first important thing. You must not make a single mistake, not even one word or character. When it comes to computer programming, especially commands like this debug log, even a single character error will cause it not to work. So, please make sure to write everything exactly as it is, without any mistakes. And next, if you haven't saved it, it won't run. Yes, this is also an important point. So, when you add new parts like this, if you don't make sure to save them properly, it won't work on Unity's side either. So, if your code isn't running or something seems off, the first thing you should check is whether you saved it or not. Always make sure to check if you've saved your work. Alright, let's move on to the next part. Alright, so next. There's something important to know. If the number of brackets doesn't match, your code won't run. What does that mean? Well, let me show you. These are brackets, by the way. I'm talking about these curly looking ones here. Like this. And when there's a space between them, and you put lines of code in between, it ends up looking something like this. Let's try it out for a moment. It looks like this. So, in programming languages, you'll see a lot of these brackets. The one on the left is called the opening bracket, and the one on the right is called the closing bracket. If you don't always close every opening bracket, your program won't run. So, the bracket you open here must be closed here. Next, the bracket that's opened here is closed here. Visual Studio, the programming tool, helps support this kind of pairing, making it easier to understand. If you click here, you can always see which bracket it matches with. So, if you have an extra bracket on one side, like in this situation, for example. Right, in a situation like this, where there's one too many, for example. Here. If you end up with a situation like this, where there's an extra bracket, the program won't run. If the number of brackets doesn't match, it won't work, so if you ever think, huh? It's not running, please check the number of brackets. Okay, and one more thing, next. Alright, when you're writing a program, sometimes you'll see a red squiggly line appear. For example. Yes, like this, when you write a debug log. Well, if you make a typo, a red squiggly line will appear. When you see this red squiggly line, it means there's an error. The program won't run like this, so make sure the red squiggly line is gone. Before you save, always make sure of that. For example, if the number of parentheses doesn't match, you'll see a red squiggly line like this. So, always check your code to make sure there aren't any red squiggly lines. Next, let's talk about input assistance features. Alright, so there's something called input assistance features. You might be wondering what input assistance features are. Well, Visual Studio has a function that helps support you as you type your code. Let me show you how it works. For example, if you start typing debug vlog, even if you just type dbu, debug vlog will pop up like this. You can use the arrow keys to select it, and when you press enter, it automatically fills it in for you. Then, if you type a period, it will show you a list of suggestions like this, predicting what you might want to type next. Also, if you just type the opening parenthesis, it will automatically insert both the opening and closing parentheses for you. And with double quotation marks, if you type just one, it assumes that's what you want and automatically inserts a pair for you. Like this, there are a lot of features that help you with input, so let's make good use of each of them one by one. Alright, now, moving on to the next part. Let me also explain about commenting out. So, what does commenting out mean? It's this green part here. This green part here, well, no matter what you write here, it's just a memo and doesn't affect the program at all. That's what it means. Most programming languages have this commenting out feature. As you keep writing more and more code, you start to forget what you wrote in certain places or why you wrote a particular part of the program. To help you remember, you can leave notes or memos using this comment out feature. And as you write more and more programs, even you yourself will start to find things harder to understand, so definitely make sure you know how to use this comment out feature. As for the finer details, I plan to explain those in later videos. Alright, so finally, just a little bit. Let me show you what happens if you try to run the program when there's an error. So, like this, when you see the red squiggly line, save it. And then, as you can see, it looks like this. Yes, this error appears. And if you try to run it, this is what happens. You get a message basically saying, no, you can't do that. So, you need to make sure to fix these red squiggly lines properly. Make sure there are no errors like that, and then save it. After that, try running it. Alright, it ran properly this time. Okay, that's it for today. Great job! So, how did you find today's lesson? Maybe some of you thought, wow, coding is tough, or this is kind of a hassle. But honestly, as you get used to writing code, I think those problems will gradually go away. You might not get it after just one try, but if you keep practicing along with these videos, you'll get the hang of it. And as you keep at it, coding will actually start to become more and more fun. So don't get discouraged, let's keep working hard together. Now then, next time, we'll actually try moving objects, physical objects, using code. That's what we'll be working on. So, I'll see you in the next video. Alright,